In my work as a sociologist, I identify and unpack what I call the metaphors of mobility. These are these ideas like the American dream, equal opportunity, that obscures the inequality and the oppression and the extraction that doesn't make mobility available to everyone on the same terms. As a writer, I try to go a step further and rewrite those metaphors in a way that sheds a light on just how unfair and unjust they are. My name is Tressie McMillan Cottom. I'm a sociologist, a writer, and a public scholar. I am fundamentally motivated in my work by the people who feel like they've done something wrong. When they have done everything right, they internalize the structural failures of a mobility scheme that never meant to include them as personal failures. My first book, Lower Ed, is about the idea of higher education in this country. Higher education is a set of ideas and politics and social relations that, in the case of my work, was absolutely obscuring the reality that for millions of people, going to college had left them worse off in their life than they would have been had they never attempted going to college. And it was most true for women and women of color, and especially Black women. I introduced the idea of lower education as a competing metaphor for how this critical social institution was in fact far more vulnerable and complicit in inequality than we understood it if we thought about it as higher education, as an unqualified public good. Thick is a collection of essays that reflect about 10 or 15 years of writing for the public in various mediums. The project takes on a life of its own, in part, I think, because of the double entendre of the title, which is thick is a colloquial description of a certain type of female form. But as a sociologist, I also understood thick as a way of doing systematic inquiry. Thick is a way of doing ethnographic analysis, of participating in and deeply observing how people make meaning in their everyday lives. Under that umbrella, this collection of essays are really grouped under the idea that our public discourse benefits when we have a deeper, richer set of discursive tools to talk about social problems, and that we really benefit when we center Black women's intellectual production in doing so. When social science does its best work, it not only paints a true and accurate empirical data-driven picture, but it produces a powerful narrative. I learned that it is the stories that shape policy and discourse in ways that we don't always tap into and exploit in our work. I am interested in the social context of what this information society means for racism, sexism, classism, inequalities, and fundamentally for justice and injustice. How can we make an information society one that works better for marginalized people than did the society we inherited? There are always a set of assumptions embedded in speaking to the public. And my hope is that that will socialize and condition a listener to expect the voice of authority or the voice of expertise or the voice of guidance to be a complex, full-throated African-American woman's voice. That is my hope